Okay. You all are going to see a couple of polls that we're going to have. Just a little house rules as always. Please put yourselves on mute for the courtesy of others. If you want to ask questions, there's a little chat comment box, and then we are going to take some polls. So you'll see it, I think, if you're on your phone, it's under activities. And then we will begin. Okay. So just a quick recap. In the past 3 weeks, we've learned how to create a culinary marketing plan. We've touched on how to create objectives for your Q4 planning. We've gone through promotional ideas. You've spoken to expert. We've learned tips and tricks about food photography, videography, how to leverage technology using ChatGPT to create headlines and graphics. We even offered you all some graphics to create some of your campaigns. We did have a homework assignment, and that homework assignment was to create your content and upload it. We only had about 5 of you all submit your homework. Again, a reminder, you get out of this program as much as you put in. And so I really, really want to stress this. Please do the homework. It only benefits you. And so when the homework, we gave you all 2 weeks to do this, and when the homework isn't in, it kind of delays us a little bit. But if anyone, I did send an email, if anyone needs help creating that graphic, that content, this session should also allow you to learn a little bit more about tricks and tips, how to create some of your promotional ideas. And for those that did not complete the homework, we'll give you all another week, and but you won't get the credit until after you submit that. For those that did submit your content, we will be providing you all that $100 Facebook credit visa. So again, please, if you need help, let us know, and we'll connect you with one of the experts, okay? So without further ado, I want to introduce you all to a wonderful lady that's obsessed with helping Black-owned and Latin-owned businesses just as much as we are, Miss Stacy Reed from Stacy, Zeal & Co. She is a strategic marketing consultant and Facebook ad expert. She's obsessed with elevating online brands and creating strategic marketing plans. She is a fractional chief marketing officer, or a CMO, and she can tell us what that is. I don't know what a fractional chief marketing officer is, but she can tell us a little bit more about that. And Facebook ad expert. She's generated over 150 million in sales leads, paid social media efforts for brands like Zappos, UGG, Steve Madden, Adidas, Crocs, and many more, generating more than 150 million in sales across channels like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest, and more. And Stacy also teaches CEOs, like you all, how to make more money and gain your time back and rapidly by increasing your visibility and impacting the work that you already do. And so for over 11 years, she's been a marketing expert and loves sharing her knowledge and helping online brands and restaurateurs maximize marketing strategies. And y'all, when I say she is an expert, she has so much knowledge that we are very fortunate to be able to have her here with us. And she also is very generous with her time. You all can also schedule one-on-ones with her as well. I've sent a previous email, but we will resend it again after this class if you all want more one-on-one, which has been the feedback from you all, more one-on-one with experts. So I will turn it over to Stacy. Thank you so much for being here. And also, I just want to give a quick shout out to, is she on here? Let me see. Is Juana on here? Juana, are you here? Okay. Juana is our executive director for Feed the Soul Foundation. I think she's here, but she might be on mute. But also, I wanted to say thank you so much to Cynthia, Maria, the teams out in Tampa for letting me visit you all. Aisha, Cynthia, Maria, the other Maria, and I don't know if Calvin's on here, but everyone from Tampa, New Orleans, Chicago, you all have been great. And if I haven't been to your restaurant yet, I will be making my last rounds to your city. If you're in Houston, for instance, Veronica, and I think Humberto, you all are my last two as well to visit. So without...
Juana is on.
Oh, Juana's on. Okay. Juana?
Maybe she can't get off mute. I don't know. Let's see.
Let me see.
I can't unmute her.
Yeah, I can't unmute her. It's okay. All right. I'm going to turn it over to Stacy.
Hey, thanks so much for having me. Hi, y'all. I'm super excited to be here. I'm really excited to share as much information as I can and not try to overwhelm you about Facebook ads. And so let me go ahead and share my screen. I do have some slides to go with this. Okay, 1 second. And we're also going to do some demos today. So do you want me to record this, Karina, or are you going to record?
Please record. We're recording.
Yes, we are. Okay, perfect.
Yes.
Perfect. All right. Well, let's jump in. Okay. So I know we wanted to do a quick poll in the beginning to ask what has been your experience with Facebook and Instagram ads so far? Just let me know in the chat. Have you run them before? Have you tested them before? Have you boosted a post before? Would love to know just where you guys are at in terms of Facebook and Instagram ads. And while y'all are putting that in there, let me really kind of talk a little bit about what we're going to talk about today. So I'm super excited to be here. And honestly, I have seen the power of Facebook ads, and I'm going to talk a little bit about my background in a second. And it has, ever since I saw the magnitude in which it can help businesses grow, I've always just felt this passion to be able to figure out, how can I pass this knowledge on to my people? How can I make sure that more Black and Brown owned businesses are taking advantage of the power of Facebook ad and Instagram ads, because they really have the power to drive a lot of traffic, a lot of leads, a lot of sales, and a lot of brand awareness for businesses large and small. So don't think that, some people tend to think that sometimes their business is a little too small for ads, or, ads are only for companies like Zappos and these big brands. But honestly, there's so much magic and so much power in being able to invest in tactics that are going to get your message in front of your ideal audience in a time that organic reach is dropping. Like we're in a place where we're in a pay to play world, where we have so much competition for the feed. So many people are posting content. And these algorithms are making it harder and harder for organic content to be seen by the people that you want it to be seen by. And so with ads, you really have the opportunity to really kind of get your message laser focused in front of your ideal audience. And so this workshop is going to break out into two parts. So this first part, this is part one. We have the next part that's going to be on next Monday. And so reason we're breaking it out is because I wanted to make sure that I can give y'all the strategy and the technical piece, as well as walk you through how to build it. Because when I think about Facebook ads, and it's really important to make sure that you have the right strategy, you're knowing how to create ads that are impactful, and you're also able to set them up correctly. So next week we're going to talk about setup. So we're going to do a couple demos today, some setup and stuff today. But today you're going to really kind of walk away understanding what you need in place in order to run ads. So what kind of things you need to have set up for your business. We're going to give a walkthrough of Facebook Business Manager or Meta Business Manager. And honestly, I want to make sure I say that when I say when I say Facebook ads, sometimes I tend to say Facebook ads. And I am also encompassing Instagram ads in that, because Meta who is, Facebook's new name now, they encompass both Facebook and Instagram. So you can run ads on both platforms from the same budget, same campaign, same creative. And so sometimes I get caught up in saying Facebook ads, but just wanted to preface that to let you know that I do also mean Instagram ads as well. And so what else we're going to talk about is I'm going to give you some specific strategies that you can use in your ads. We're going to talk about how to make sure that your tech is set up correctly and how to know how to create ads that really stand out from the feed. So we're going to talk about creative today. We're going to talk about strategy today. We're going to talk about technical setup, some technical setup today. And then next week, we're going to talk about how to actually launch them. So how do you build them in Facebook and Instagram? Well, how do you pick your audiences? What should your budgets be? All of that kind of stuff is what we're going to talk about in the next session. And also this workshop does also include a resource guide that gives you additional information, tips, and other things that I've kind of put into this guide that will help you as you're moving through this journey with ads. And that will make, I have two guides, one for part 1 and one for part 2. So I'm gonna make sure that Karina gets that today so that y'all can get this guide that goes along with the presentation. So you don't need the guide right now. It's just really kind of recapping what we're learning today so that you have a hard copy of what you really need to focus on. So let me jump in the chat and see where we at with talk with ads.
So
Okay,
we have a lot of, yes, I've tried it. It's too expensive. I feel like I'm wasting my money. I've tried it, but I haven't seen the effectiveness of it. I've boosted several. I get followers, but costly. And then you have the other side of the spectrum of, yes, tried it, great. I continue to do it. So you have that huge range of experiences. So
awesome. Well, that's great. I'm excited to hear that some people have dabbled in ads. Some people are kind of just, waiting to get the direction and the strategy that they need. And some people are like, these just really, I haven't been able to figure out how to get them work. And so I really think that after this presentation, you're going to have a little bit more clarity around how to make sure that your ads are working for you. And, just different things about what strategy wise, what you can do to help to improve your ads. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump in. So briefly, I'll give a little bit about my background. So again, my name is Stacy. I am a Facebook ads expert. I am a fractional chief marketing officer, which means that I am really kind of like, I operate as business's marketing officer, they're their marketing director, but I don't work for them. And so they hire me on more of a part-time kind of basis. So we work together monthly, we have meetings, I build strategies, all that kind of stuff for them, but they don't have me on payroll as an actual CMO. And that helps to be able to, one, be more cost efficient, because sometimes you may not need a full-time CMO. Really, you just need someone who's a marketing expert and can kind of take a look at what you have going on and really kind of ground it into a plan, ground it into strategies, into roadmaps, and working with teams and providing, helping more junior marketers to understand more about how to be a more up-level strategist, because you kind of work your way up to being a strategist. So that's what a chief marketing officer is. And so I'm Facebook and Instagram ads expert. I host a podcast called Roadmap to 1 Million that publishes weekly. It's all about marketing tips and tricks and all that kind of stuff to help you to really take things to the next level. And I've been in marketing for 11 years. I've worked in corporate digital marketing. I've worked on all the different organic channels as well as paid channels. And when I actually started moving through my career, I started working at Zappos. And at Zappos, I really had the amazing opportunity to be very focused on Facebook, Instagram ads, TikTok ads, Pinterest ads. So really figuring out how do we step beyond organic and make sure that our efforts are combined to exponentially grow our business. I've worked with some of the brands that you see on the screen. I've been featured in Business Insider, the Baltimore Sun. I've been on Peacock's podcast network, and I just recently had an article published in CNBC. So really, I teach businesses how to make more money. I teach you how to make more money, but I also teach you how to do it in a way that gains your time back, that also grows your awareness by running your own Facebook and Instagram ads. So I actually teach businesses how to do this themselves, because I don't necessarily think that you need an agency to run ads for you. Agencies are great. I've worked with lots of different agencies, but if you are looking to save on costs and put all of that money into your ads instead of having to pay, for your agency, if you have a team, like maybe you have a marketing assistant or you have someone that does help you out with your marketing, you definitely can do this in-house. And I have worked in-house, and what I mean by in-house means I've actually worked for these brands. And so I actually was paid by this brand to work on their behalf. And so I've always been team, build your marketing team in-house, because that's when people are really going to be able to be invested in care and really kind of, pivot and move a lot faster. So that's a little bit about me, but we're not here to talk a whole lot about me. So let's get started and talk about Facebook and Instagram ads. So in order to be successful with Facebook and Instagram ads, you really need to understand three things. You need to understand, and you need to really kind of grasp that setting up your tech correctly is foundational to your success with ads. We're going to talk about what a pixel is. We're going to talk about all the different technical things you need, but I wanted to kind of put this in your mind as we're moving through this. There is a right way to set up your ads, and there is a wrong way to set up your ads. We're also going to talk about boosted posts and why I think that those things are a waste of money. But the second thing that you want to understand is that focusing on the right ad strategy for your business is what's going to create sustainable results. And so there are so many things that you can do with Facebook and Instagram ads. There's a lot of different strategies out there, but what we're going to laser and focus on today is the strategies that are going to work for your type of business. Because as I mentioned, you can do so much with Facebook ads, but you don't need to do everything. You really just need to focus on running campaigns that are going to work for your business and that follow the best practices for your industry. And most of the campaigns that you run, you're going to try to get people into your stores, maybe place orders online, generate leads, all that kind of stuff, so that you can turn people who are just kind of looking around into customers. And then the last thing I want you to take away from this and to really understand, and this is probably the most important one of these three, is that Facebook and Instagram ads are a long-term strategy. So when you run Facebook ads, you really have the opportunities to take your sales to the next level. And that requires some time and testing. A lot of entrepreneurs kind of jump into ads. They run some ads for a week and they're like, oh, I lost all my money. This isn't working for me. This is just Facebook ads don't work. And so I just need to be able to just move on and just give up on this. But let me tell you, Facebook ads always work. And the reason that they always work is because a Facebook ad is Facebook's job is to take your message and to deliver it to people on the platform. That is, if you have run an ad and it's sent it to people, then that means that Facebook did its job. Facebook is supposed to take your creative and show it to people. It is on us, the advertiser, to be able to make sure that we are attracting the right people. So making sure that we are creating creative, making ads and videos and still images that speak to our ideal customer. And I know that y'all have talked about that, in some of your past sessions. So it's up to us to make sure that our messaging speaks to those people. It's up to us to make sure that we give people the necessary information that they need to be able to take the next step, which is making a purchase from us. Yeah, I have a little bit of a cold coming on, so sorry about the keep taking a couple tea breaks. But that's what I want you to understand, that these are long-term strategies. And if you're feeling like Facebook ads are not working for you, it's time to really reevaluate your strategy, reevaluate your creative, reevaluate your technical setup, and not focus on short-term cash infusions. Because that's what Facebook ads, they have the power to be able to bring in cash really kind of quickly and short term. But I want you to really look at this as a long-term strategy, as a long-term way to drive a lot more brand awareness for your restaurant, a lot more eyeballs and traffic, and getting more people to know about who you are, right? That's what we're focusing on here. We're focusing on long-term. And so in this workshop, we're going to be focusing on creating long-term sustainable success that can be replicated over and over and over again. And that's really where I specialize, is that it's not about just saying we're going to do one strategy, see if it works, and and if it doesn't, we're going to give up, right? We always have to be learning and testing. And so that way we create long-term sustainable success. So let's talk about, next we're going to talk about what you need to run ads. And so here is what you really will need in terms of being able to run ads. And so you do need a personal Facebook account. And so this is something I've talked about a little bit earlier this week, so I wanted to make sure I hit on this, is that a personal Facebook account is required in order for you to log into Business Manager, which is Meta Business Manager. We're going to walk through it in a second, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more about it. But the reason is because Facebook attaches your Business Manager to different personal accounts. So like, for example, with Instagram, you only need one login. You have your username, your password, anybody can log into that, you're good to go. But in order to access Facebook's ad platform, you do need to actually, you're going to be essentially connecting your personal account into a business manager account. So let me give you an example. When I worked at Zappos, Zappos had its own business manager account. Like if this was Zappos's business manager account. The way that I would access that is that I would just log in through my personal page, and then I would be able to do all the things on behalf of Zappos. So think about that in terms of your business, because I know sometimes we're like, oh, I hate Facebook. I don't like to have a personal, I don't want to have a personal account. Maybe your personal account's got shut down for some reason. Whatever that is, you want to make sure that you do have someone who you trust that does have a personal Facebook account that you can use to then log into your ad platform. And when we go through it in our demos, you are going to see it's going to make a little bit more sense. The next thing you need is a business manager account, which we're going to talk about, and we're going to work through. So I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time there. But Meta Business Manager is essentially Facebook's analytics tool. It's how you access ads. It's so much a wealth of information in there. So we're going to walk through it. The next thing you need is an ad account. And so an ad account is kind of like a sub account within your business manager. And again, when I walk through this in the demo, it's going to make sense. The thing you also need is to install the pixel. So a Facebook pixel, we're going to talk about what that is. But you do need to actually have that installed so that Facebook can kind of see what's going on when it's sending people to your website. And then the last thing you need is to set up your conversion events. And your conversion events are essentially you telling Facebook, what does it mean when someone does this? So when someone gives me their email address in order to access this promotion, that counts as a lead. So you just have to tell Facebook what that means, right? And so that way Facebook can credit it correctly in its system. So we are kind of working together with Facebook. So that's really kind of what conversion events are. And so what we're going to have, some things you want to have handy, and I know I believe you all talked about creating a business manager account. So if you've already done these things, then you don't really need this. But if you have not set up a business manager account and you haven't set up an ad account, you are going to need these things. So you just need your business info.
And everyone on this call has informed us that you do have a functioning, ready to go, secure Facebook business manager account. So
good. And so, yeah, I'm going to walk you through a couple different key areas that you're going to focus on, because there's a lot in there. There's a lot in business manager, and I don't want you to get lost. So I'm going to walk you through some key areas that I think are great to use. Another thing you need is a credit card. So how Facebook is going to bill you is that they are going to bill you at intervals through the month. And so it's not necessarily like every time, they're not going to charge you every day, but it's on like intervals where they'll charge you maybe like the 1st and the 15th of the month, something like that. It's going to be really depending on, and it also has like a threshold. So it's like, every time you get to $250, it's going to charge you. And so you want to make sure that you do have a card on file. And I know that y'all are going to get gift cards if you do complete your homework. So make sure that you complete your homework, because that gift card is essentially going to act like operate as your credit card for the first, until you get through the gift card, and then you'll switch out the gift card for your card. And then the last thing you need is, or the a couple of things you need is the access to the back end of your website. And so you need that to be able to log in to install your pixel. So if you're using WordPress, you're using another website platform, you will need to have access to that to be able to install your pixel. But the great thing is if you are not tech savvy, you don't know how to move around in the back of your website, you can also have instructions sent to someone who does know how to do it. So when we go in there, you'll see you can hit send this information to my developer or somebody like that, so that way they can install it for you. And then the last thing we want to talk about is you have your landing page URL. So if you have a sales page, if you have a page that people go to, that people are going to be able to give you their email address, for example, in exchange for a promotion or a coupon code or something like that, you want to make sure that you have access to that too, because then that's how you're going to tell Facebook what each of those pages means. So it's nice to just have those things handy. If you are sending emails and you're using an email service provider like ConvertKit or MailChimp or Constant Contact or something like that, most of the big platforms, like those 3 that I just named, definitely have a place for you to be able to install your pixel, and it's very straightforward. But you want to make sure that you also, if you are sending out emails, for example, that you do have Facebook track that, because then they're going to be able to see like how many people went from Facebook to your email and what are they doing, right? Are they actually, getting your email address and they're sitting there, or, what's going on there? So that's a really good thing to have in mind. All right. So let's talk about next. We'll talk about what business manager is. And I'm also going to have plenty of time for questions. We're going to have a question break after we get through a couple demos. So if you have any questions, feel free to jot them down in the chat and I'll come back and look at those. Or if you do have a question, you want to stop me, and if I'm going too fast or something, you need me to re-say something, just grab me. I tend to go. I will go until you stop me. Okay, so what is Meta Business Manager? So Meta Business Manager, aka Facebook Business Manager, is where Facebook houses all the tools that you're going to need to build and manage and report on your ads, be able to create custom audiences, which we'll talk about what custom audiences are in part 2. But custom audiences are things like your email list, your site traffic, those kinds of things. You're going to be able to manage your assets, like your pixel, your page, all that kind of good stuff. You're also able to add team members or agencies as people who also work on your account. So if you do have a freelancer, for example, if you do have a marketing assistant, for example, and you want to be able to have them have access to your ad account, that is where you would be able to do that. Or you want them to have access to your Facebook page, for example, like your marketing assistant, you're onboarding a marketing assistant and they need to be able to post on your page. You go to Business Manager and you add them as a user. And there's so many more things that you can do with Business Manager. And we're going to walk through a couple key areas in a second. Let's talk about Business Manager versus boosted posts, because this is something I see a lot of people doing. And so what a boosted post is like when you're getting on Instagram or you're getting on Facebook and they're like, oh, hey, like, don't you want to show this? Don't you want to boost this post and show this ad to show this post to 100 more people or 600 more people or 700 more people? That is what a boosted post is. And so there are 2 different ways to run ads. One is a boosted post, and I'm going to talk about in a second why I don't think that you should go that route. And then the other route is going into Business Manager and actually setting it up from your ad account. And so with your Business Manager, why you should use that over boosting posts and why are boosting posts a waste of money? So what a boosted post is essentially you telling Facebook, I want you to show this ad to people who are more likely to comment, like, and share. So what Facebook is going to do is it's going to show your ad to people who are more likely, who it's deemed more likely to comment, like, and share. The great thing about Facebook and it being so large and having all this data is that it's able to really bucket its users into different buckets based on their behavior. So it will say, like, Karina is more likely to become a lead. So she's showed us behavior that if we show her an ad that she's interested in, she is actually going to go to that page and fill out that landing. She's more likely to go to that page, fill out that form, and actually become actually become an actual lead. Same thing with sales. If we're like, hey, I want to show this show this to generate more sales, maybe you're getting online orders or something like that. Facebook has the ability to bucket to show your ads to people who are more likely to take that action. But with a boosted post, you are defaulted to engagement. You do not get to say, hey, I want you to show this to people who will more likely become a lead, because at the end of the day, that's what I want, right? So we have to think about what is it that we want at the end of the day. And that's how you're going to decide on your objectives and stuff like that in the ads that you're running and really your strategy. If you want people to come into your stores, right? If you want to have people send you direct messages, what is it that you want people to ultimately do after they see your ad? You're able to tell Facebook what you want them to do, and it's going to try its best to get your ad in front of people who are more likely to take that action. And so that's why boosted posts are a waste of money, because boosted posts don't pay the bills, right? Engagement doesn't pay the bills. Likes, comments, and shares. Who cares if people like and comment and share it if they're not purchasing from you, if they're not becoming a lead, if they're not coming into your store? Right? That's not what we don't want people to just like, comment, and share on something, right? That's not an intent to actually buy something from us. It's not showing that people are actually intending to buy anything from us. It's just showing that people are like, they're double tapping and they're scrolling, right? And so that's one of the reasons. So the other reason is that you get a lot more options and control within Business Manager. So your boosted posts are very limited. As I mentioned, it's limited by objective. So it's always going to be engagement. It's also limited by audience targeting. It's also limited by creative flexibility, because if you say, hey, I want to boost this post from my feed, you have very little options to change the creative, right? Like, what if you want to actually change the call to action? What if you actually want to change the copy? Maybe you made a typo and you want to actually update it before it goes blasted out there to the millions and billions of people on Facebook. You don't get to do that kind of stuff with a boosted post. It is essentially just taking that post and it's showing it to more people so that you can get more likes, comments, and shares. And, so really at the end of the day, you're going to get better overall performance when you are focused on using Business Manager versus boosting posts. Will you get some engagement? Will you maybe get some leads or stuff like that? Sure. But you're not going to get nearly the volume that you would get if you are boosting a post versus building it in Business Manager. So that's why I always tell people, I always tell my business owners, familiarize yourself with Meta Business Manager. That is going to be a place that gives you a lot of great information. You have a lot more creative control. You have a lot more options in there. And, it does give you a lot more depth.
So I like what you said. You said that boost is more like likes, shares, and it doesn't really convert. It has a lower probability of actually converting that person into a potential customer or lead.
Right.
I wanted to ask you all, throw this out to you all. Has anyone actually done both? Done the manager plus the boost?
That's definitely a great question for sure.
Nancy?
Yeah.
Yes, I've done
both.
Okay. Just the boost. Okay.
Yeah. So if you've only done just the boost, then when I show you Business Manager in a couple of slides, you're going to be like, wow, there's so much more that you could actually do. And so much more. So sometimes people get a little tripped up on advertising because they boosted a post and they're like, well, I didn't get any sales from this, or I didn't get any, leads from this. And it's like, that's because you told Facebook to show you more likes, comments, and shares. And as I mentioned earlier, Facebook ads always work. If you tell them you want more likes, comments, and shares, it's going to give you more likes, comments, and shares. But that's not on Facebook. That's on us, right? That's on us as the advertiser to make sure that we are setting things up correctly to get the desired result that we want. Because Facebook can't read our minds. It doesn't know that we want to get sales, right? It's not actually reading your copy and stuff like that to help you to get more leads into your business. What it's doing is it's using its algorithm and its machine to push your creative out to who you said you want it to show to. And so we just have to make sure that on our side, we give them the right information so that they can connect the dots. And one other thing I'll say is that Facebook wants us to be successful, right? Facebook, this is how they make their money. This is how they are the biggest company, that they are, is because they are running, we pay them for their data. We pay them to show our ads. And so Facebook wants you to be successful, because if you are successful, what happens? You're going to spend more money. When I was working at Zappos, we had meetings with Facebook every week because they wanted to look at our ads and wanted to tell us what, make improvements, help us plan things out, help us, get results, because they know that if they get us results, we're going to spend more money on that platform. So Facebook does want us to be successful. It's just up to us to make sure that we understand the mechanics of it so that we can set ourselves up to be as successful as possible. All right, so key areas of Business Manager. These are the areas that we're going to really kind of walk through. And this is really the 6 areas that you're really going to be focused on. As I mentioned, there's a whole lot of stuff that you can do with Business Manager. And when you get some time, I know the time is limited for us CEOs and business owners, but when you get some time, or have your marketing assistant or someone who's helping you with your marketing, it'll definitely be good for them to familiarize themselves with Business Manager, whether they're handling the ads or not, because there is a lot of good organic components to Business Manager in there as well. So you have insights in there, all kinds of different things that you can use to better your performance on the platform. But we're going to walk through, these are the key areas. If you're running ads, these are the key areas that you're really going to kind of focus on. And okay, so let's walk through Facebook Business Manager. So in order for you to get to Business Manager, what you do, I have my tabs already pulled up here just for the sake of, making sure that things load properly. But you go to business.facebook.com. And that is going to get you here to what is called the Meta Business Suite. Facebook sometimes, they change their stuff they will sometimes change things. It's like, you really just want to make sure that you are, when you get in here, if it looks a little different sometimes, then, that's what they do. But are y'all seeing my second screen here? Because I'm looking at the presentation and I'm still seeing my slides.
No, we just see
your the tab instead. My bad. Okay. All right, there we go. So sorry about that. So let me start over. So in order for you to get here, what you do is you go to business.facebook.com. And that is how you're going to be able to log into this. And what I do is I honestly have this bookmarked on my screen because I jump in here a lot. And so make sure you bookmark it so that way you can just easily get to it. But business.facebook.com is how you're going to get to the Meta Business Suite. And you're going to see all of these different options, right? So if you're going to see your page performance here. So your Facebook page, this is my Facebook, this is my Instagram page, all that kind of good stuff. There's a lot of great information here. You can use it to schedule posts. It gives you inspiration, all kinds of good stuff. But really what we're going to walk through is we're going to focus on a couple different key areas that you should really kind of understand if you are going to run ads. So the first place is business settings. And so business settings is one of the places that you're going to go if you need to add a team member, if you want to make sure that you connect your Facebook accounts to this, to Meta Business Suite, if you need to update things like billing, payments, all kinds of stuff. So this is what the settings tab looks like. There's a lot of different stuff in here. And so for the sake of time, I'm not going to go through all of these things because some of these things can also be accessed via later when you're kind of playing around with this. But if you want to like adding your pages, like, well, let me start at the top. So people, when you're adding people, this is your team members. And so if you have a marketing assistant, you have someone that helps you out with your marketing, then you want to make sure you just add them. And so you just go here to just add people. You can send them an email invite and you can send it to any email address they have, right? It does not have to be associated with their Facebook account. But what's going to happen is when they get that email, it's going to say, hey, Karina has invited you to work on her business manager account. You need to link your personal account to the actual business manager account. And that's how they're going to log in and access this. And so if you're adding people, they do have to have a personal Facebook account in order for them to be able to access this. Let me see, it's a question here. Personal accounts associated with a business account. So
Yeah.
what you would do, great question, Cynthia. What you would do is you create the business manager. So it's owned by you specifically. So because the first person that creates it is going to say, this is the owner of this business manager account. And so you want to make it so that you own this business manager account. So that way, as you have team members come and go, you have, different agencies you may work with, all that kind of stuff. You want to make sure that they are using stuff that you own. And especially when it comes to your pixel. And we're going to talk about what a pixel is in a second. And I'm going to show you how to install it. But I want to tell you, now that I'm thinking about it, I had a client that came to me one time. Well, they wouldn't necessarily be a co-owner. They would just be an admin. So like, for example, Cynthia, you see here, like this is my assistant. And so she just has partial access. She only has access to the things that she needs to have access to. This is me right here. I have full control over everything. I have advanced options. So I have control over all of this. But my assistant, for example, like she can't come in here and just add people in here. She can come in here and, look at some insights. I have her as a backup for if anything happens to my Facebook account, right? Like, so if she can add me, right? So she can send, I think she actually does have an option to send me access and stuff like that. Yes, you can. Absolutely. So when you hit add people, let me show you real quick what you're going to do. Let me just use my email address.
And also, to touch on this too, for security purposes and for your account to not be hacked, they do suggest that you have two individuals or like you're saying, a teammate as well on your account.
Mm-hmm.
And that
Definitely.
two-step authentication setup as well. And
Yeah.
you all received that Facebook business manager tutorial. So if you haven't done this, please do it.
Yeah, definitely. Because I'm in the resource guide that you're going to get, I am adding some tips in there to avoid getting hacked. Because how you get hacked on Facebook is through your personal account. So people are not hacking into your business account and then changing things. They're hacking into somebody's personal account and then they're getting access to everything that person has access to. And so you want to make sure that one, as Karina was saying, you do have a backup in there, right? So like, for example, my assistant is my backup. If something happens to my page, she has access to be able to go in here and add me back as a user. When I was working at Zappos, we had 10 different team members doing a lot of different things. But in order to keep security really tight, we would make sure that people only had access to the things that they need access to. And you can always upgrade someone's permissions, right? So like here, you can give them full control You can give them basic control. So like you can select the different things that they have access to, right? And there's all kinds of stuff in here. So when you run through this, it'll make sense. You just make sure you just read next to what it is and give people the right access. Because again, if someone hacks into their business account and they have full access and full control and can do everything, then someone will be able to hack in and do whatever that person has permission to be able to do. And two-factor authentication is definitely another great way. And what that does is essentially means that it's going to send you a text or something when you try to log into your account. Okay, so partners, this here is if you have like agencies, contractors, people who do not work for your business. And people I know sometimes we have like family members that work for our business, like my sister, she's my assistant. And so I put her down as a team member because she is someone who's on my team, I trust, that kind of thing. Partners are people who are outside agencies. They do not work for you. They have, there are contractors, those kinds of people. So you want to make sure that you give people the right access. Pages here, Instagram accounts. I'm not going to go through all of this stuff because you can really kind of just play around with this. But business settings is if you need to add your payment information, all that kind of good stuff. You're going to spend a good amount of time in business settings, at least initially when you get things set up. Okay, so then we have Ads Manager. And also over here, let me show you this menu. When you open up all tools, you have a lot of options here. So that's what I mean when I say that Business Manager there's a lot going on in here. There's a lot of things that you can do, but you just want to make sure that, some of these key areas that we're going to go through are where you're, where you're going to be when you're running ads, but there's a lot of stuff you can do in here. So Ads Manager, this is where we don't tell me Facebook's down.
And if you all have your laptops open or your desktop and you want to log in and walk through this with Stacy as she's going through it, please do. That way it creates that muscle memory and you all are able to really see where things are.
But a question, you can walk this through on a personal page or you have to be on the business page, because I don't do the business page.
So what you would where you're doing this is in business.facebook.com. And that is going to be connected to your personal page. Like login wise, you're going to be able to log in with your personal page. But as far as the business page, there isn't like a separate login for the business page. It all funnels through personal pages. Did that answer your question?
Okay, here's the thing. My manager does the Facebook through her personal page. So if I log on now with my personal page, will I be able to access this?
You will if your boss adds you, what we were just talking about in settings. She needs to add you as a user. So she'd add you as she sends you an email invite, and the email invite that you get from Facebook would say, hey, such and such is inviting you to be a part of their business manager account, and you can hit accept. And then Facebook will prompt you to connect it to your personal account. So for example, here, I have access to a lot of different people's business manager because I have other clients. And so all of this funnels through my personal page. So my Stacy Reed down here, this is my personal page. And so when I access this, if I log into this, it's going to ask me to log into my personal page, and then it will show me all of the things that I have access to.
And Aisha, maybe what you need to do is book a one-on-one with Stacy, you and your manager. I think that would be a good idea. You're on mute.
Yes, thank you. So I can get her email in the chat or something.
Yes, it's in the email, but I'm gonna resend it out for anyone that wants to do one-on-one. Yes,
ma'am. Cool. Okay. So let's see. I think there was another question. Oh, you wanted to use we definitely can. I'll think about that for part 2 about using your personal account, because we did talk about that, Nancy. So I mean, it might be better for me to build it for me to do that, because this is all stuff that everybody should look pretty much the same. You may look a little bit different, but Facebook is always doing tests and variations and stuff like that. But for the most part, it's going to look like this. But so this is Ads Manager, and so what you do when you come in here. You can have multiple ad accounts. So for example, you see here, I have access to a lot of different ad accounts because I have clients that I consult with and stuff like that. But this one's mine. So we're going to walk through mine just so I can show you what it looks like. And I'm going to show you how to create one also. I wanted to show you this is what it looks like. And this is what I mean when I was saying that you have your business manager, which is like the top umbrella, and then you have all these different little places and tabs that you can go to within it. Your ad account is one of those tabs underneath the business manager. Okay, so when you get to Ads Manager, this is essentially just an overview of what's going on. Facebook always wants to give you recommendations and things that you can do to improve your ads because it wants you to be able to be successful so that you can spend more money, essentially. So you can see trends, all that kind of good stuff, but really where you're going to live, because what you do when you go to Ads Manager, you click that button, you're going to land here. But really what you want to go to is this part right here. This is the campaigns tab. This is where you're going to be building campaigns, where you're going to look at some of your ad performance, all that kind of different stuff is what you're going to do right here. And when we walk through in part 2, building your actual campaign, like selecting your objectives, you know, ads and all that, audiences, that kind of stuff, this is where you do that. So for me, when I come in every, you know, I come in and look in here maybe every couple days. I recommend I tell my course students to look at this once or twice a week, but I'm just a little neurotic. So I look at mine pretty frequently. And so this is really just giving you an overview of how your campaigns are doing. And so you see that it's broken down to 3 different tabs. Campaigns are like the high level, you know, what your actual campaign is. Ad sets are the audience, and then ads is the creative. And when we walk through how to build this, I'm gonna break down what each of those things are further. But essentially, this is where you create campaigns. With your evaluating your performance, you can look at different date ranges. You can, you know, kind of go back and do some historical data if you want to look and see like how did your ads do last month versus this month. Okay, Veronica, you're saying you're struggling to find how to get there. Are you in business.facebook.com? Okay, and then so then when you do you see this little 3 hamburger looking thing on the side that says all tools? It might look a little bit, let me see. This is where we were at when we landed here. So it might look like this. Okay, cool. All right, so yeah, so then you just click Ads Manager. You can also, like, if you ever need to search for things too, like if you're like, I don't see what I'm looking for, or maybe you just don't know what it's called, you can definitely search in this bar too, and just it'll populate some things. You can search, there's also help here. Which I didn't mention at first, but like if you get stuck somewhere, Facebook has a whole library of things that can help. They also have chat support. And so if you are really kind of stuck and you really can't, you know, you're trying to figure out what's going on, there's a bug, there's anything that's wrong with your accounts, you can go into help, and then you can just go here, contact support. And then it's going to ask you like what's going on so that they can place you, so they can tell the rep what's going on. But things like if there's a pixel error, something like that, you can always contact support. If you are like, you know, if you do think that your account has been hacked or something like that, you can go through support. Okay, you're restricted from advertising. If you are restricted from advertising, what I would say is go to all tools and then go to, where is it at? It's called account quality. Maybe it's on the Ads Manager. Let me figure out where it is. There's a section called account quality. And when you go to account quality, it might be if they sent you an email or something or a notification that says that you're restricted, if you click on it, it should take you to the account quality tab. And in that account quality tab, it'll tell you why your ad account's been restricted, and it lets you appeal it. So if you're feeling like this is, you know, it shut me down for no reason, then you want to make sure you appeal it. But you can also go through chat support. So if you say, like, you could tell chat support, like, hey, my account is restricted, and it'll tell you why, but it'll also connect you with someone who you can talk to about it. And they can, you know, they should be able to give you some insight. I will preface this by saying sometimes you might not get that great of a chat support rep. So you might have to go through this and try again, like try to get somebody else, maybe somebody else that has a, you know, more knowledge in your particular area. So it's not perfect, but Facebook, at one point, Facebook didn't even have chat support available. So unless you were spending millions and millions of dollars, you just were on your own. So at least now we have chat support. So this is Ads Manager. And when in your reference guide, you're going to see what these different tabs are, the tabs that I recommend that you have based on what metrics you're going to be looking at, because there's a ton of metrics that you can look at. Here you can go and you can, change. Facebook has some like defaults in here of how to slice this data. So you see how this just changed a little bit. It's just different. It's pulling up different things. I like to have my own custom view because I want to only see the numbers that I want to see. And so when we walk through creating an account, all that kind of good stuff, I'm going to show you how to actually change your settings here so that you can only see the information that you want to see. But in your reference guide, there is also a list. So if you want to get ahead of the game and just look at that list, once I get you the reference guide after we're finished today for part 1, once you get that, you can go through and start to set these up yourself. But you would essentially just go to customize columns all the way at the bottom. Okay, so that's
a question.
Oh, sure.
Where on all of this that you're looking at, where is it going to, where's your website going to be connected to actually target the audience?
So your website, when we're talking about next, is going to be Events Manager. That's going to be how you set up your pixel and connect it to it's connected essentially Facebook to your account. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. Can you take, for example, I have an ad right now. How do I know it's reading the website?
So that's something that you can look at as a metric to see, so let me show you an example. If you slide over, there's tons of other things here.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I have pulled into my my actual metrics is landing page views. So that tells me how many people actually made it to my landing page.
Okay, how do I add that in on there? Because mine only ends at amount spent, and it does no more.
Yeah. So when I get you the reference guide right after this, I have this all listed out in there, and it'll that way you can create it. But what you would do is, you see where I see columns right here, you would click that, and then you go all the way to the bottom, and you go to customize columns. And when you go here, then you're gonna have a ton of metrics that you can use to set up your actual account. So that way you're only looking at numbers that you care about. And I have that listed out just for time's sake. But these are things that I care about when I am evaluating my performance. And these are things that I give my clients and stuff like that, so that they understand, how to set this up so that they're only reading things that make sense. But this is how you would do it. You essentially just go here to customize columns.
And what's it called? Just that, to the button where it says it's coming from your website. What would it be called? Reach?
It's called landing page views.
Landing page. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay, so we have a ton of metrics in here. That's one of the great things about Facebook versus organic, is that you do actually get a ton of data here. Like, I can drill in to see, specifically, how is this one campaign doing? Which of the audiences is, well, this is not a good example because this one only has one audience. Hold on. So that campaign level, you're looking at the whole campaign as an aggregate, but then you can also break down and see the numbers according to different audiences. So, for example, if I'm looking at this, I'm seeing that this one audience only has a lower click-through rate than this other audience. And so for me, that's an indicator that this audience is performing better. And so I can just turn it off. I can say, you know what, let's just turn this whole thing off. You just click this here. You can even click into the individual audiences. So this is the audience level. And then you get to the ad set level, and this is your creative performance. This is okay, well, how is the individual ad actually performing? And you can see it here. For me, I have this ad is performing the best. I think I'm echoing a little bit. Do you hear an echo on your side? Okay.
Yeah, Aisha signed in twice. So
okay, thanks. So you can even break into your numbers according to the creative to say okay, which of these ads is even performing better? So a lot of metrics in here that you can go through. And let's keep moving. Okay, so we're going to talk about Events Manager next. And Events Manager, what that is how really is where your Facebook pixel is and what kind of data your pixel is reading. So when you go to Events Manager, and again, to get here, you just go to this little menu that says All Tools, and you go to Events Manager. Again, it may look a little different on your screen, but you just search for Events Manager and you'll see it. And this is where we're going to come and we're going to create a pixel. And we're going to create a pixel today in a second. I just want to make sure I get through this overview of Business Manager, and then we're going to talk about the pixels. But here is essentially you go to Data Sources, and this is where you're going to see all of your pixels. You only need one pixel. Don't get overwhelmed by my pixels, because I mentioned I have clients that I work with. And so I make sure that my clients give me access to all of their information, all of their pixels, that kind of stuff, so that I can see what's going on and make sure things are good. And so this is my pixel. And again, we're going to talk about what a pixel is in a second, but this is really kind of giving you data about how many page views have come through, how many leads have come through, how many video plays have come through. And essentially these are events. A page view is an event. A lead is an event. A sale is an event. Facebook just calls them events. And so this is where you're going to be able to look at and see, like, how, is my pixel reading correctly? Sometimes you might get a little flag here that says, like, oh, there's something that you can fix. And that kind of thing. You have settings, you have all kinds of good stuff. And again, we're going to jump in here when I show you how to create a pixel in a second. But overview, just wanted to let you know that if you do have this is another key area that you're going to also be looking at when you are initially getting that setup going for your pixels and stuff like that. Next thing we have is ads reporting. So again, we're just going to go to this little, actually, let me go this way. This will be faster. So from your ads manager page, you can get to reporting, or you can also, from any screen, you can go to all tools and you can go to reporting. And reporting is essentially taking all of this data from your campaigns and putting it really more into like pivot tables, so you can start to make sense of what this data is all telling you. And I will show you what you can make different reports. So like, just like how on Ads Manager, when I talked about, you can create a custom view of what information it's showing you, you can create different reports. So like, maybe you have a report where you want to look at, how things are going on a weekly basis. Maybe there's other reports that you want to look at. But I only have one report that I use. These are client reports. But this one, when you jump into this is where you're going to see a ton of data. So this is where you can drill into things like, what age is actually, am I getting the best performance for my campaigns? And you can go do it on a weekly basis. You can do it on a daily basis. You can do all that kind of stuff. But like, for example, I can go in here and say, what is the gender, break out by gender, this data. So I can see, like, how many impressions they're getting, how many leads are coming from, each different gender. You can do that by demographic, which is something that y'all may want to absolutely do. Because there was one. Yeah, here we go. County or region, or country, sorry, country or region. And so we'll, take region. My campaigns are running all over the US, but yours, you can see, like, what's your performance in Texas? Like, say you have multiple locations and you're running ads in different locations and stuff like that. Maybe you're just like, oh, I want to see how things are performing in New York. So you can really kind of get granular with the data. You can see data based on, like, which ad is performing the best. So there's a lot of great information in here that you could see if you are, as with Facebook ads, it's a lot about data. And I don't want you to want to overwhelm you. Once you start to really kind of understand what each of these things mean, then you start to really be like, okay, now I can actually read this data myself and make sense of this. So this is a great place to come if you're really kind of doing some analysis to see, like, what's working, what's not working. So I always tell people we want to do more of what works and less of what doesn't. Very simple. If you look at your numbers, they will tell you what's working and will tell you what's not working. And so it's up to us as the advertiser to actually take that data and receive that data from Facebook and actually, give it the right information that we need. So, like, for example, last week, I completely turned off a whole campaign because I just was like, this campaign is just not working. So I turned it off, and I've done a couple optimizations, a couple changes. It's not working. And so what I did was I just turned it off, and I'm like, you know what? We're only going to run what's working. So let's take the ad creative that's working. Let's take the audiences that working. Let's start a whole new campaign, start fresh, and have the budget allocate itself between the things that Facebook has already told me is working. So Facebook will tell you, like, for example, I see that this ad, for example, is generating more leads than some of these other ads. And so that's an indicator to me to say, like, hey, like, this is working. So let me turn other things off and just let these things work. And we'll talk about optimizations and all that kind of stuff in part 2. But just wanted to give you an overview of of the amount of data that you can actually get when you are running ads. This is not the kind of data that you can get when you're just focusing on organic marketing. Okay, let's see. Next piece is audiences. So we have two more key pieces here, and then we're going to talk about pixels. Or then we're going to create an ad account, then we're going to talk about pixels. But audiences is another great place. So if you've been boosting posts, you're very limited on the audiences that you can actually run. You really kind of just can show it to say, like, there's very little options that you have there. But when you do actually go into business.facebook.com, you can actually, there's an audiences tab here that's loading. And this is a place where you can upload your customer list to say, like, hey, I want to run ads to my customers. Maybe you want to drum up repeat business, so you want to run some ads specifically to your customers. Maybe you have a subset of your customers. So like maybe you have a list of 10,000 people of customers, and then you have a percentage of them that have not bought anything else from you. So you want to target just that percentage. You can do all that kind of stuff within Facebook if you are uploading your custom audiences. And so this is really what custom audiences look like. When we go through the second piece, which is going to be talking about actual setup of these audiences, this is what we're going to be going through. But a couple of the things that you want, and in your reference guide for part 2, I have a whole list of audiences that you're going to want to test out, or that you're going to want to pick from to make sure that they're relevant for your business. But one of the things I will say is, like, targeting your customer list is a great idea, but then also what you can do is create a lookalike of your customer audience. And so a lookalike is essentially saying, hey, Facebook, I have a list of 10,000 customers that I'm going to upload to you so that you can get some data about them. I want you to take that customer list and create an audience of people who have the similar behaviors and habits as my original customers. Lookalikes work really, really well because Facebook is able to really kind of target people who are very similar to your existing customers. So if you have that list of 10,000 customers, you upload that into Facebook, that becomes an audience size of 1 million people or 5 million people based on how you set that up. And they all have behaviors and habits that are very similar to your customers. And so that is something that you definitely want to make sure that you do. You can also set up custom audiences to target your website traffic. So if you're sending traffic to your website, and you want to make sure you can retarget those people. So you can say, like, hey, like anybody who's gone to my website, but they haven't made a purchase or they haven't signed up for something, then we want to make sure that you can actually target those people too. Okay, so that's fine.
You kind of touched retargeting, and this is not just only so this is a retargeting of those that have already gone through your website, but there's another strategy, an advanced strategy of retargeting people that have clicked on an ad or something, and that's the same place as well.
Yep, that's the same place you would do this. And so, like, essentially, I'll show you the prompts where you can what it'll ask you. So you can say, like, I want to create a custom audience, and these are all the sources that you have. You can do your website. This is where you would upload your customer list. If you have an app, you can make sure that you can create a list of people who downloaded your app. Offline activities. So this is something that you'll definitely want to make sure that if you're connected your CRM to, you can create some audiences based on people who've come into your stores or something like that. You can create audiences off of video. So like if you posted a really good video and you want to be able to say, like, I want to target everybody who's watched this video, then you can do that here. Instant lead form. So like anybody who's filled out a form on Facebook, you can create an audience of those people. So you can do a lot you can create one of my most successful audiences that I'm using now outside of like customer lists is targeting people who've engaged with my Instagram account, targeting people who've engaged with my Facebook account. That doesn't mean that they're following me. They don't have to have followed me, but they actually have maybe if you're posting reels, right? Reels get you a lot of great reach. So if you're posting reels organically, what you want to do is make sure that you're also targeting those people with ads, because all of those people are not going to be able to see your organic content all the time, especially when you think about reels, because reels are really kind of designed to get you in front of new people. And so if you have people who are engaging with those things and you're creating reel after reel after reel, those reels are just going to start to reach more people, more new people. But when you have people who've expressed interest in your business, meaning they've liked the post, they've come to your page, they've engaged with an ad, they follow you perhaps. They don't have to follow you, but they may follow you. This is where you can actually set up an audience and say like, hey, take all those people, put them into one audience, and then I can assign that to a campaign. And when you go through these very simple, straightforward prompts and how to get these set up. And then what you would do if you want to create a lookalike is you would say, hey, I'm going to upload my email list. So you do that, go through the prompts of create an audience. And then once that audience is uploaded, what you do is you click next to it, and then you can go to this little button here that says create lookalike. And so it'll be like, hey, based on this audience, create a lookalike of people who look exactly like that audience. Okay, so that is audiences. And the last thing we're going to talk about is instant forms. And this is where I do have a poll question here to ask, do you currently use a CRM, which stands for customer relationship management or client relationship management? But a CRM is essentially a database of your customers, of where you can kind of, track their movements in a more automated way, right? If you have Excel spreadsheets with your customer list, that's a great starting point for sure. Like, you definitely want to make sure that you have those things. But there are tools out there that you can use that you can feed your data, and as well as data from your Facebook ads, and you can feed them your customer lists and, the habits of your customers and stuff like that. And they can actually show you an aggregate of what's going on. So like, for example, when I was at Zappos, we had a home, they built their own client relationship management system. So we weren't using one of the top tools. They built it in-house. And so I could go in there and say, give me a list of people who are first-time purchasers. So meaning they've only made one purchase from Zappos, and they have not been back, they haven't visited our website, or they haven't done any, they're not on our email list or something like that. So I can go in and really kind of drill into that data. And that is able to then, I'll change tabs again, and I didn't share my screen. So this is the screen I've been talking about. And so what you'll see here is that
the poll is up.
Go ahead.
The poll is up. Have you ever used a CRM?
Yeah. So let me know are you using a CRM? Have you used one before? And to answer your question, Cynthia, I have a couple that that are examples, and then I have a couple that I specifically looked up for the restaurant industry. So a couple of just like the broader examples would be HubSpot. So HubSpot has a great CRM, customer relationship manager, especially if you're doing a lot of digital marketing. It's a very digital first platform. So if you're doing a lot of digital marketing, that's a good one. Salesforce, for example, a lot of people have heard of Salesforce. So Salesforce would count as a CRM. Then I found a couple, like Active Campaign is also another, general one with Active. That's when I'm evaluating HubSpot versus Active Campaign currently for my business. So those first three are really great if you have these like kind of digital first businesses. Salesforce, I'm sure Salesforce is like the giant in the industry. And so I'm sure that it has, capabilities for local businesses and stuff like that too. So Salesforce is a giant, but I think it also has a giant price tag. So just keep that in mind. But some of the ones that I found when I was just doing a little bit of research of like, what are some examples of CRMs for the restaurant industry specifically? Toast came up, Eat came up, and Keep came up. So KEAP. Those are ones that specifically were on a list when I was looking at some of the CRM specifically for restaurant industries. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
I have a question. Any of the websites that we're already using, they don't have anything that would actually help with this instead of, because I feel like, for example, I'm not there yet to have to get CRM, but maybe I am kind of like debating because I do have enough, but not, I don't think a lot. Maybe the websites kind of do any of that work, or no? Start collecting that.
Really, so the first thing that came to mind with your website is if you have a website, you definitely want to make sure you have Google Analytics installed on your website. And Google Analytics will give you more of an aggregate level of like what pages people visit on your site, what behaviors they have on your site. So like, if people are, there's an e-commerce integration. So if people are buying things on your website, you can see those kinds of things. You can see how people are moving through your website. So like, what page do they start on? What's the second page? Where do they drop off? So that's what you can do with like Google Analytics if you want to see what's going on your site. But this one, a CRM is more so, instead of focusing on what's going on your website, it's more so focused on what your customers are doing. So like you can post, you'd have a CRM system that'll say like, 60% of your customer lists have only made one purchase. And so then that may be an indicator for you to say like, hey, let me, run some ads specifically to this 60%. and you can then export that information from there. So you can say like, give me a list of only people who are first-time purchasers for my business, and then I can upload that into Facebook. So it's more so like on your website, the website tools, Google Analytics, again, is something that's like, I highly recommend. I also have a training on Google Analytics. If I can make that available to y'all, I can send it to Karina, and she can kind of, just share that video so you can walk through like how to use Google Analytics and how to read it. But that's going to track on the aggregate level, like of behaviors on your site. The CRM is going to really more so track movements of your customers. So what are they doing specifically? How many times have they come into your store? How many orders have they bought from you, right? Like how many, if you're doing catering and stuff like that, it's a great place to be able to look at like, where are my leads at, right? Who are the people who are still in that, lead phase where they've maybe filled out a form, but they haven't actually purchased from us yet. So we want to make sure that we follow up with those people. So I would say like, regardless of what size your business is, because there are a lot of like, free tools out there. I know HubSpot, for example, does have a free tier. I haven't used it yet, but it's a brand I've been following for a really long time. They have a lot of great marketing information. So that one, for example, you would be able to kind of, start with a free account, see, upload your data, kind of see what's going on there. And some of these other ones may have some free versions as well. So I wouldn't say it's necessarily about feeling like you have to be a certain size. I feel like you're really want to make sure that you are understanding how your customers are moving, because that's going to inform your marketing campaigns, right? Outside of just ads, right? So if you have, email campaigns, for example, I remember when I was at Zappos, we would run email campaigns to people who were first-time purchasers, offering them a coupon to make that second purchase. We would run, emails or ads to people who were loyal customers to say like, hey, like, this person has purchased from us 6+ times. Let's make sure that we are, telling them about our new promotions. Let's make sure we're, showing them ads all the time so that we're top of mind when they have a problem, right? And so a CRM allows you to be able to do those kinds of things. And again, you can start with something that is free or low cost so that you can start to familiarize yourself. One of the people who I follow for tech, she talks about how you need to give your software a job instead of just hiring, just saying like, I'm gonna go with Salesforce, I'm gonna go to HubSpot. It's about, what do you need it to do? What kind of data do you need it to give you? And then when you're evaluating tools, you have that kind of like job description there of what you actually need it to do. So if you need it to be able to track your leads for your catering business, for example, you want to make sure that you get a system that has lead tracking, that can really kind of, show you the movements of those people. And Cynthia, also, so the ones I said, Cynthia, are HubSpot, which is,
Unknown caller.
Sorry, I missed the question. Oh. So HubSpot, you have Salesforce, you have Active Campaign. That's one word, Active Campaign. Toast is one that I saw specifically for the restaurant industry. Eat, so EAT is what I saw, another one for the restaurant industry. And Keep, KEAP, is another one that when I was searching for restaurants, specific ones, it came up, but I think it also does some other businesses as well. So I will make sure that I put in the reference guide a list of these CRMs that I have. I might have already put it in there, but I'll make a note to make sure that I listed them in there for you if you want to check them out. Okay, cool. So what you're looking at here is essentially an ability for you to be able to say like, hey, like I want to be able to connect my CRM to Facebook, and Facebook has integration. So like, for example, if you go here, if Facebook can actually show you, will actually tell you which CRMs it integrates with. But if you don't have one that it integrates with, you can use Zapier, Zapier is essentially kind of like a tool that you can use to connect different websites that don't talk to each other. So I can say something like, whenever someone fills out my form on Facebook, I want you to also add that person's data to my CRM system, for example, or add them to my email marketing system. So like how I have mine set up is that someone fills out a form on Facebook, like I have a live webinar that I'm running, like it's an ask my live webinar that's tomorrow. And so when someone fills out that form and says, hey, I'm interested in attending your webinar, Zapier then adds them to my email marketing system. And in my email marketing system, I use ConvertKit. In there, then it'll just say like, oh, well, this new person has just been added to your webinar. I have a series of emails that goes out to those people. Thank you so much for filling out the form. Can't wait to see you there. Here's some resources, just stuff like that to just give people like a thank you so much for, responding and acknowledging that they responded to my ad. You can do these kinds of things with your direct messengers, for example, like someone fills out a form and then they can chat with you. What you want to think about here is, what does your sales process look like? How do you take people from, I have no idea who you are, they're just walking in off the street, to becoming your biggest super fan? Because you're remarketing to them, you're sending them emails, you're sending them coupons, you're staying on top of mind for them. When you understand how that works, then you know where to place your Facebook ads. Most of the time, you're going to be using Facebook ads to just get more eyeballs and traffic on what you're doing, and getting those people to come into your stores and stuff like that. And so if you do connect your Facebook with your POS system, for example, or like your CRM system that is connected to your POS, then you can see Nancy's coming here 6 times. Maybe I need to reach out to Nancy and give her something special. Maybe Veronica has referred 7 people to my business. Maybe I need to reach out and give her a gift or something like that, right? So these are kind of things that you can actually see. And so when you go through and set up your conversion, when you set up your CRM, and again, there is a link to exactly how to do this in your resource guide, because I'm not going to go through the whole thing for the sake of time. But when you hit next, it's essentially just going to ask you which pixel you want to connect it to, and then it's going to ask you, do you have one of these integrations? So that's why it's important for you to pick to create your pixel first, so that way you can go ahead and select it here and connect the pixel to your CRM. And again, we're going to talk about pixel in a second. That's the next section. But either way, it's going to walk you through. It's going to say, here's the settings, click this, here's the details, choose your CRM. It's going to ask you to do all these steps, right? And so you can kind of see like which of your what CRMs are actually in there, all kinds of good stuff. But for the most part, Facebook always has like a little companion guide there. So if you do get stuck, you can go through those little links that they have there, or you can reach out to chat support and they should be able to get you the information you need. I want to pull this up to list out so you can see exactly the ones that are available within Facebook, but also we want to keep moving because I want to make sure we get through everything, because we're also got to talk about creative, which is my favorite part. Once we get the technical stuff all set up, then we can talk about the fun stuff. So this is just what you're going to go through. You're going to go through the prompts, all that kind of good stuff. So we're not going to do that now. Okay. And okay, so that's all of the key places of Business Manager that you're really going to use. Again, let me go back to my slides here. These are the areas that we just kind of went through. Business settings, ads manager, events manager. These are the really kind of key places you're going to be taking a look at. And so now let's create our ad account, because that's one of the other things that we needed. If we go back to our list of what we need, we have our personal Facebook account. We have our business manager account. Now we need to create an ad account, and then we're going to install the pixel, or then we're going to create a pixel. So in order for you to create an ad account, very simple. What you do is you go to business settings, and you go here with, wrong tab.
Yeah.
There we go.
And just so you all know, I know this is a lot of information, and she usually teaches this for like weeks at a time, and we're getting a very condensed, fast-paced training. So the good thing is it's being recorded, and you all can, listen to this, walk through it step by step at your own pace. So that's the nice thing, that we do get to have that recording. So.
Yeah, definitely. I would definitely encourage you kind of go back through it, see any things that you missed, because the reason I teach this first is because once we knock this out, then we don't have to worry about it for the most part anymore. Once you create one pixel, you don't need to create a million pixels. You just need one ad account. And so once we create those things and knock that stuff out, then we can start focusing on campaign strategy and that kind of stuff. Because as I mentioned in the beginning, having your tech set up correctly is very foundational to your success. And then the next step is having the right strategy. So we're almost done with tech. So here is where, so go to business settings. Again, I talked about business settings, and you're going to kind of live in here sometimes if you need to make any updates. But then you go to ad accounts. And this is going to list all of your different ad accounts. These are other ad accounts that I have access to outside of mine. But then what you do is just go here to this tab that says ad accounts. I believe that every person can create 2. maybe 4. I know that you can create 1 business manager, maybe 2 business manager accounts, but you can create a couple different ad accounts. But either way, what you would do is you would go to create new ad account. That's where we're going to go. These other 2 things. So claim an existing ad account. Like this is what you would use. For example, if someone has set up maybe you know, before you saw this presentation, you had your marketing assistant set up your ad accounts. They set it up under their profile. So it looks like to Facebook that they own it. If you need to be able to claim it, then you would go here and just say like, hey, I need to, you know, take back ownership of something from someone else. This one is request to share. Like this is just if you have an agency or something like that you're working with and you want to be able to give them access to your account. But here what you want to do is create new account. Okay, your screen looks a lot different than mine. Are you so you went to business.facebook.com and then you went to the little gear that represents settings?
Yes.
Okay. And what are you seeing?
I see add account settings, but I don't see add accounts.
I want to see what you're talking about because it might. Trying to picture in my head what that would potentially look like.
She can share. She can share her screen.
Well, yeah. Can you share your screen real quick so I can see? Let me stop sharing mine.
I think it's this. I could be in the wrong place.
Okay,
This is what I see.
Okay. Okay. Can you go to business assets? You might have to actually create something first before it's going to show you all of the different. And can you go to where it says add accounts to your right, or on my screen to the right?
Add assets?
No, it was where you see all assets to the left, just like where your next page is add accounts. Yeah. Okay, so now add accounts were found. Can you go to let's go to add account settings to the left in that blue bar, because maybe you just have to create one first and then it'll show you what this looks like. It probably went to a different tab. So you have to share the other tab.
Oh, got it. Let's see. Sorry, everyone. I'm just trying to keep up here.
Okay.
We're all learning together, girl.
Right. Okay. Let's see. I wonder why yours isn't looking like this. Okay. Can you go back to the little gear at the bottom, right under that little notification to the left side?
Sure. Let's see here. Oops.
Did it open in another tab?
Trying to get there. Let's see. Settings. You're talking about this one, right? The settings here?
Yeah. Yeah. Is that not opening up? Maybe.
Yeah, no, it's not opening up.
Try where it says all tools, where you were just at. The left side that looks like the little hamburger thing, the little 3 lines above where your mouse was. Yeah. And then go to business settings, where underneath of where it says manage business. Okay, and you have full control. Cool. Okay, and so then you should be able to go down where it says add accounts underneath of pages. And there we go. Then you can hit add. So then you should see what I see. Yep, there you go. Add an ad account. Okay. Cool. Okay, so now I think we're all in. Is anybody else having trouble finding this spot? I see we say your two options are grayed out. Do you not see the option to create an ad account, Veronica? Or are you saying that the options that said share and those are grayed out?
Yeah, it only lets me request access to an ad account.
Okay, that might be something in your permissions, like your settings. Do you have full control over your account, over the account? Like, does it say admin full control?
Where would I see that?
So if you let me reshare my screen.
I mean, I created this account, so I don't know why anyone else would have it.
Okay, yeah. So that's interesting. Let me share my screen 1 second.
Yeah, I do have full control.
You do have full control. Okay. Maybe let me actually let you share your screen and let me see what's going on with yours too.
Let's see.
And if we need to be, we can definitely jump on a one-on-one to walk through also.
So it is 4:29. You're on mute, Stacy.
Sorry. I mean, I want to make sure we have time for questions too.
Yeah. So if you want, schedule a time and then we'll open it up to a couple questions.
Yeah. Let me get through these next couple things, and then let's pick. Can we let's see where. Let me see if I can figure it out real quick. Okay, and so to the left where you see go ad accounts right underneath where it says pages. Yep.
And then
It might be. Are you the one that had a restriction on your account?
no.
Okay. Why is it telling me that you can't create it? Let me do a little bit of research. I'm gonna take that as a note. And let's set up a one-on-one so we can walk through that. Because I might just have to kind of play around with it to see what's going on, to be able to find, like we just did now with to get to the actual ad account part. Like I might just need to kind of look around a little bit.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So we're about to talk about ad account ID right now. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Okay. Okay, are y'all seeing my screen? Oh, here we go. Okay, you are presenting. Okay, cool. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna hit add accounts. That's over here in this top right corner, and then we're gonna hit create a new ad account. And the ad account name is just something that you can identify what it actually is. So you can name it your stored ad account. You see here where mine, for example, my ad account ID is SZC ads. So that's really just what the ad account ID is. It's just an identifier so that you know. So like, for example, let's say you, like, for example, when I was working at Zappos, we had ad accounts for different things. So we would have, like, because Zappos has these different verticals. So we had a Zappos ad account. We had an ad account for one of our sneakerhead brands, because they had different budget pools. But really, if all of your ads are, if you're paying for your ads from the same card source, the same, bank account information, then you just want to keep everything in one ad account. So you don't need multiple. But either way, so let's, so we create our new ad account. We create our ad account ID. I'm just going to say SCC test. And then you just click your time zone. I don't know if you can search. You might actually just have to figure it out. You just have to scroll to it. Okay. And also, if you did use different currency, you would definitely make sure that you change your currency, because you can only do this once. If you if you're taking US dollars and you select something else, you're going to have to create a whole new ad account. So make sure that, you selected US dollars if that's what you're using as your currency. Next, and then so this is just telling you what's going on. You hit here that you agree to their terms, you hit create ad account, and then it's going to just pop up here as another one of your ad accounts. So let me know if anybody has any trouble with that. That should be, as long as you can get here, it should be pretty straightforward as long as you have the right access. So for example, my assistant could not come in here and create another ad account, right? Like I have, access. I'm the only one who has access to be able to do that. So that's something that you might also want to take on for yourself and make sure that anybody who is on your accounts, they can't just go in here, create new pixels. They can't just go in here and create new ad accounts, all that kind of good stuff. You want to make sure that anything that needs to be like foundational things like an ad account pixel that you created, you own it. Because I've literally had the experience where I was literally fighting with Meta over letting them know that Zappos did own a specific brand because we had somebody else set up an account outside of our policies, but we wanted to make sure that we brought everything together. And it was literally us having to prove to Facebook that we actually own this business. And so they are very, very strict on making sure that if you create something, then you own it. So like for example, I don't even create pixels on behalf of my clients. I give them step-by-step instructions on how to do that so that they can create it and then they add me as a user rather than me owning the actual pixel. The only pixel that I own, the only ad account that I own specifically is my stuff. And so these are all like my clients share their stuff with me and give me access to that stuff. So you might want to definitely take that on as a best practice for you so that you don't end up having someone create something that, they shouldn't create. Okay. So let's talk about pixels now because we created our ad account. So the next thing that we need, let me shift my tabs real quick. Next thing we need is to install the pixel. And the conversion events, I'm sending you it's going to be in your resource guide on how to do that. For the sake of time, I want to go ahead and just get the pixel created and good to go. And then we can talk about strategy. Okay. So cool. Let's go ahead and get to the pixel. So what is a Facebook pixel? The Facebook pixel, I like to explain it as it's like a bridge. It's like a bridge between your website and what happens on Facebook and Instagram. So Facebook is able to track our behaviors on its app. So like when you're on Facebook scrolling, liking stuff, it's able to track all that activity. But once you leave Facebook, you as the user, once your customer leaves Facebook and goes to your website, Facebook also needs to be able to know what's happening there too. Because what's happening is your Facebook is sending data back and forth. So it's saying like, hey, I'm going to send Nancy to this website. What does Nancy do? Does she become a lead? Like, does she take the desired action? Does she leave right away? What does she do there? And so when you do create that action, so it's like, okay, Nancy became a lead. Facebook takes that as a signal like, oh, yes, we need to find more people like Nancy so that we can show your ads to more people like Nancy. And so that's why it's so important to make sure that you have your pixel installed on your website so that you can make sure that Facebook is able to track what's happening between its platform and what's happening on your website. So there, like, for example, someone sees your ad on Facebook, they click on your ad, and then they give you their email address to be able to get, a 20% off coupon, something like that. If they do that, Facebook needs to know that. They need to be able to say like, hey, that person took the desired action. Now I'm going to find more people just like that. And so it's constantly just moving data back and forth and saying, well, I'm sending people there. What are they doing? And a lot of, people were a little kind of thrown off by Apple's iOS privacy update. And I believe that someone did ask, someone mentioned earlier that their costs after Apple's iOS privacy update, that their costs kind of went crazy. So here's what a pixel is. Here's what the iOS privacy update essentially means. It essentially, it was like 2021, something like that. Apple essentially rolled out an update to its operating system that said that Apple users get to decide whether a website can actually track their data. So in the example, as I mentioned earlier, Facebook is sending Nancy to a website and Nancy says, I don't want that website to send, data back to Facebook saying that it was me that went to their website. essentially Apple gave that gave that ability to its users to decide, and about 96% of people did opt in to do that. So they decided to say, like, and one, it was a very scary kind of, like, I remember when it rolled out, it was like, do you want to share your information with this website? And it's like, you know, like, that's a little scary. So it's like, no, I really don't. But really, you know, a lot of people don't understand is that Facebook is not tying individual actions to individual users. So like, it can't see what me, Stacy Reed, is doing on its platform anymore, essentially. That because Apple kind of put like a wall between what's happening on like between, you know, your actual personal data when it comes from what's happening on their website and what's happening on Facebook. But that's not to say that the data doesn't exist, because that data is still there. It's just blind. It's just private. So it's like, I can't see that Stacy Reed is the one who did that, but I can see that people who act like Stacy Reed on Facebook went to this website, took the desired action, and then I can send that signal back to Facebook. It's just not going to be able to see that it was me specifically that did that. And so, whereas Facebook may have known before that, you know, I am a vegan dog mom who has toddler and, you know, runs on, you know, Sundays, right? Facebook used to be able to see that kind of data about us. But now it's not necessarily as tight. It's not exactly as accurate. And so what Facebook tells us to do is they want us to broaden our targeting. So instead of targeting people who are like, you know, people who like Beyonce, who live in this area, who you know, are, you know, rock and roll fans, whatever, right? Like you instead of going in and telling Facebook that's who you want to send your ads to, what you would more so want to do is to say, like, I want to show my ads to everybody that's in this area, you know, specifically. If you know, for example, that your food is only vegan food, you can absolutely say, show it to people who've shown that they are vegans on Facebook, meaning that they've liked pages about veganism, they've, you know, engaged with posts that talk about it. That's what Facebook is really kind of using to build a profile of a person now, instead of actually saying like, oh, Stacy is, you know, a runner. She does this, she does that, she does that, right? It's just saying like people who are like Stacy, who have these similar behaviors, tend to take the desired action on that website. So let's find people who are kind of like Stacy and send them to that website. And let me know if that's making sense, or if anybody's a little bit lost on that in the chat. So essentially, just like I said, just put like a wall. It's not necessarily, it's not a wall that you can't climb over, is not an impenetrable wall. It's just like a wall between your data, between who you are and what actions you're taking on Facebook's website. And so in part 2, we are going to talk about audience targeting. We're going to go deep about how we should be broadening our audience targeting. And I'm going to give you some audiences and stuff like that that you can use. So I'm not going to go into that now, but that's essentially what a pixel is and how Apple's privacy update did impact tracking and audiences and stuff like that. All that means now is that your creative is like your ad targeting, right? Technical targeting, where I can go in and just say like, show my ad to people who do this, and this. You more so want to just give it guardrails. So not like strict parameters, but more so guardrails. So like if you're like, hey, I want to target small business owners, that's a very wide bucket. But instead of saying I want to target small business owners with toddlers that are 3 years old that also eat Chipotle every night, right? Like, you know, you can't do that, or that's not going to be as accurate. You can do that, but it's not going to work as well. Facebook wants us to broaden our targeting. So let's talk about where do we place this pixel, and we're going to create a pixel in a second. So here's where you would add your pixel. And again, you only need one pixel, right? So do not go in there and creating a bunch of pixels. You only need one. You will put this one pixel on every one of your websites. If you have more than one website, if you have sales pages that are like, say if you use like a landing page builder, you have sales pages that are separate from your main website, you want to make sure the pixel is there. If you have a lead magnet, if you do, you know, like any kind of coupons, like if you use an email marketing system, you want to make sure that your pixel is also attached to that as well. And you like your checkout pages, your cart pages. If you use something separate from your main website, you want to make sure that it's placed on there. And also in your CRM, as we talked about a little bit earlier. So a lot of the CRMs, a lot of email marketing systems allow you to be able to attach your Facebook pixel to it, so that way you can send signals back to Facebook about what your people are doing. And the one thing I will say is that if you create any new pages to any new websites, any new sales pages, you change your email marketing system, you change your CRM system, you just need to make sure that you update your pixel as well, and make sure that that pixel is tied to that. So, okay, let's go ahead on and create a pixel. So when you create a pixel, what you're going to is Events Manager. And we're going to go back to, when you get to Events Manager, you're going to, let me go back to the home Events Manager screen because I know we navigated away a little bit. But when you land on Events Manager, this is what this other page is what you're going to see. Okay. So when you land here, you'll see Events Manager. You can go to data sources that we were at earlier. But when you want to create a pixel, all you have to do is go to connect data sources. And your pixel is a data source. And so it's just telling Facebook, like, this is where my data lives. So what you want to do is if you're creating a pixel for if you are connecting this to a website, then you just select website. If you have an app, for example, you can select app. Offline, so if you want to connect it to be able to send activities to your source, you can create, a pixel for each of these different things. You don't need an individual pixel for a lot of these different, different websites that you have, but more so different data sources. So don't think of it as websites, but think of it as what is the data source. So for example, I want to set something up that connects my offline information to Facebook. What I'm going to show you today is how to set up a web pixel, because we're going to install that on your site. And then I'm also going to make sure in your resource guide, you have some links and stuff like that about offline conversion events and stuff like offline data sources, because it's going to require a few more steps. You can also connect your CRM here, right? So if you're saying like, hey, I want to be able to make sure I'm connecting my CRM to this, then that's what you're going to do. Next, then we're going to go ahead and hit connect. And again, you just name this, like you saw mine was called SZC Pixel. So I'm just going to name this test pixel so I can differentiate. But either way, the best thing with just naming it is just make it something specific so you know exactly what it is. Because really the name of it is not going to matter so much when you're installing this pixel about other places. It's just going to be, but Facebook's going to assign your pixel a specific number, and that's and that number is what you're going to be posting or you're connecting to your website via, the instructions that you're going to see in your other book, your resource book. So if we create, might take a second, but it'll create. And then what you're going to do is you're going to connect it to your website. And so you can click here if you don't have a website. If you don't have a website, then you probably wouldn't have clicked, that you want to set up connect a web data source. I want to see if it'll actually let me do it because I already have my pixel installed on mine. And I can create like so you can see that you have integrations here. So like your website is built on Squarespace, if it's built on WordPress, if it's built on WooCommerce, Shopify, those kinds of things. Those are all partner integrations. So you would just be able to go through and follow the partner steps. So then you just hit next and it's going to take you through the prompts on how to get it set up. And then you'll just get, a unique identifier, which is right here. This is just a random set of numbers that Facebook assigns to your pixel. But this pixel, this ID number is how you're going to be able to connect it to your website. And again, I do have instructions on how to do that on your, in your resource guide. Let me know if your website in the chat, just, and I'll take a look at it later, but let me know where your website is hosted. So like, for example, my site is hosted on WordPress. So whenever I need to update my website or do anything with my website, I log into WordPress. There's Squarespace. It's like a Shopify. If you have Shopify, right? Like that's another place that that you can connect your pixel to. So let me know in the chat if you're using something other than like WordPress or Squarespace, and I'll make sure that I can dig up those instructions for you to put them into the guide so that you can just, because a lot of these platforms, like it's just and Wix. Okay, that's another one. Let me add Wix on there too. But a lot of these platforms like Wix, like WordPress, like Shopify, they have their own integrations and things like that on how to do this. All you just need is this number, as I mentioned. All you need is the pixel number. Okay, so then now we have our pixel created. So really, we've gotten to the place where we've created all of our things that we need to have set up. Do you want me to take some questions right now, Karina, or do you want me to keep going? Because I have strategy next, and I definitely want to make sure I got through strategy.
So unless you want to like move strategy to like the first half of 2, that way we have at least 15 minutes of questions.
Sure, I can do that.
Okay. So yeah, let's do that. Let's just, this will be our stopping point. And then our next class will start with strategy, and then we'll move into the implementation part.
Cool.
And so we'll open it up to questions to you all. Aisha, did we answer your question about, okay, hold on.
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
I found all this and I added it, but for some reason it's not connecting. So I'm thinking it's because all my websites, I've changed the name and I've had different landing pages. For example, it used to be called Pepito's Ice Cream. And because I rebranded a few times and changed the name, now it's called Pepito's Paletas. And I just bought the name and I put it under that website since the website was already there. Is that why it's not reading it? Maybe I have no other reason why you're reading it.
What platform is your website hosted on?
GoDaddy.
Okay. Let me make sure I put, because I think GoDaddy has its own instructions too. Did you look into GoDaddy's instructions on how to install their Pixel?
Yeah, I've been trying for years, and at the first time, when I had the first site, yeah, it did work. But then when I rebranded, I had it forward to the new name of the website. You know how that works, and so I feel like that's the problem because it says it doesn't recognize it. It can't find it. So I'm kind of stuck.
What I would say one thing I forgot to mention is that there is a tool called the Facebook Pixel Helper.
Okay.
It's a Chrome extension. So the way that you install is just by adding a Chrome extension. And then you just search Meta Facebook Pixel. Let me show you on my site what that looks like. So essentially, this is how you verify if your Pixel is working or if it's installed.
Okay, what's it called again?
It's called the Meta Pixel Helper. Let me type that in the chat.
Okay.
Meta. I can do it. I'll do it.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. And so on my website, right? Like this is my website, it's just my homepage. And if you're on your website, for example, when you land on your page, and then I'm gonna see if this is actually, oops, let me get my pop-ups out of there. Can you see the top? Can like my, because this is just, hold on, this is just sharing the tab. I want you to see like my menu bars at the top. Hold on, let me try resharing.
You have to share your whole screen.
Okay. Oh, there we go. Entire screen. Okay. 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 So when you're on your Chrome, when you go to your website, what you'll see is this little extension here called the Meta Pixel Helper. And when you click on that, what pops up is it tells you what your pixel ID is. So this is the number that we talked about that was here, this number here. That is gonna make sure that it's gonna tell you that your pixel is installed, and it's gonna show, you're gonna see these little green buttons if it's installed correctly. If you're not seeing it, if you do install that, go and install the Meta Pixel Helper to your Chrome extension, or it might have it on other browsers too. I just happen to use Chrome. And you go to your website or go to your landing page and you click on this little button here. And if you don't see any data here, that means that something is set up incorrectly. If you do see it firing here, then that means that it is installed, but maybe there's something going on in the back end of Facebook and to why it's not reading. So maybe we have to set up some conversion events or something like that. If that's not helpful, let's set up another one-on-one, Nancy, so we can kind of walk through that. Because it might just be me kind of having to look at your screen and just kind of follow you around and see what the Meta Pixel Helper is telling us, is whether it's saying that the pixel is just not installed, and so we have to kind of re-go through our steps and make sure that it's installed on the website side, or if there's something not connected in Facebook correctly, then we just got to look into Business Manager to see what's going on there. So it could be either of those things. But this Meta Pixel Helper is, I use this all the time, because if I'm creating a new page, for example, like I use ThriveCart for my checkout process. And so I go to my ThriveCart page and I click the Meta Pixel Helper to make sure that my pixel is installed on this page. Did that answer your question?
Oh, for sure. Perfect.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Cool. Any other questions? Anything else that has come up that y'all want to talk through? I know I kind of just threw a whole lot of technical information at you today. And the technical piece does sometimes take a little bit because people, I've been working in the back end of this for 5-6 years. And so for me, looking at it, I just know exactly what things mean, where stuff is. So if I went a little fast, please make sure you just kind of go back through and watch the other stuff. Yes, it does. So the resource guide has a link in there that says, here's a link to set up your business manager account if you haven't already. But essentially, if you go to business.facebook.com and you don't already have a business manager, it'll prompt you to create one. And actually, I might actually have the link written down on my notes. Give me 1 second. Let me see if I have the link here. Or I might have, I think I actually took it out because we talked about how you already had a business manager set up. So, but I think Karina, you said there's a training on this, right? On business, how to set up a business manager account. Yeah. So I would just go back and look at that training. I have it created, but it seems not everything is set up right. Okay. Well, maybe we need to just go. We need to do a one-on-one so I can kind of take a look at your business manager to see what's going on there. Cool. Any other questions? And then in the resource guide, there is like a list of here are the key areas of business manager that I just had listed on the screen. And if y'all want these slides, I'm happy to send these slides to Karina so that you can, kind of go through this and take a look at that. Go ahead, Jeanette.
Yeah, I was playing with the page, and for some reason I have 3 pages of the same name.
What do you mean by page?
Like I have Buenos Dias Cafe, but there are 3 Buenos Dias Cafe in there. So I have no idea what's going on. And I've been working in one, right? The one that I usually do it from on my phone, but I usually don't open it in the computer, just on my phone. But now that I open in the computer, 2 other icons is showing up in there. So it was very clear.
If we might have time to you can either share your screen now and I can take a look at it, or we can set up a one-on-one and I can look at what's going on to see what that's about, because I'm not sure why you would have 3 of them. But maybe if I see it, then maybe I can kind of see what's going on there.
Let's see. That'll be. Let's see how to share.
Awesome. I'm excited to chat with y'all on your one-on-ones for sure. Please definitely get those set up.
I think
even if it's just a quick question. One of them I was on for like 10 minutes. So even if you just have a quick question, feel free to just set something up with me. Sorry, go ahead, Jeanette. I was talking about the chat.
That's fine. I think that I'm gonna just do a one-on-one with you. So I don't know how to, because it closed when I opened it. It closed the site because I want to pick up the other one.
Okay. Yeah. So once you book your one-on-one, what we'll do is we'll just screen share. So I'll just have you kind of just walk me through it, and I can kind of figure out what's going on there. Sometimes I just need to see it. Like I can't picture in my head what's going on there. But it might just be a quick fix.
Yeah, in the Meta business, right in the left side, because I have 2 businesses, Buenos Dias and La Bodega. So but like I said, I open it only on my phone or in my my other little screen. But now that I'm opening in here, it show all the businesses. It show 2 more Buenos Dias.
Yeah.
So
it might just be something it might be just simple as just deleting it, but I don't want to delete the wrong one. So that's when we get in our one-on-one, what we'll do is we can look to see. We should be able to look to see who created the page, or how, what was going on there, who connected it or something.
It has all the information. It has my information in there. And it has one. It just has the B, and the other ones, the one that I use has my logo. But I think it might have been all employees long time ago.
Oh yeah, maybe that could be it. And if in which case, if it is that, then what we can do is one, when we get on our one-on-one, I'm gonna verify that you are the main owner on the page. So that way, if you delete anything, it's not gonna delete your access. So we'll verify that, and we'll make sure that if there is anybody in your ad account that shouldn't be in there, that maybe no longer works for you or something, we'll get people removed that shouldn't be there. And if it is a matter of just duplicated pages being created, what we can do is we can go and just delete them. We can make sure that the one that you use is, stays, but
Is the one.
then we'll
Okay.
delete the other one. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Cool. Any other questions? I have about 3 minutes. Anything else? Any thoughts for speed? Did I go too fast? Did I give you how was the information received? Did it make sense? I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Crickets. Just kidding. Feedback. Anyway.
Definitely. Someone's never used it. It's overwhelming. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely received.
Definitely.
It could definitely be a little overwhelming the first, when you're going through it, for sure. But the more you start to familiarize yourself with it, like you're jumping in and seeing what does stuff actually mean, you'll definitely start to familiarize yourself with it. But like I said, like I've been using this for a long time. So for me, kind of like knowing where stuff is, maybe I was going a little too fast. But once you start to play around, or at least like I'm someone who has to play around with it. Like I need to kind of play around with it first, and then I'll start to get it. But you should have the slides. I'll make sure that Karina gets the slides. The resource guide that goes with it really kind of like lays out some of the stuff we talked about. Some of the stuff that, that is on the slides, like the key areas, how to set this up, how to set that up, links to different help documents and those kinds of things. So with the resource guide, I'm hoping that and playing around with it and kind of moving through Business Manager, I hope it becomes a little less overwhelming.
Okay. Well, we are exactly at time. It is 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock Eastern time, 4 o'clock Central. So thank you, everyone. If you have not created your content yet, please turn that in, no matter what it looks like, how it looks. Next week, Stacy will also go over some of the strategies of what makes a good ad. We haven't touched on that yet, but we will. So try to get something in, and then we'll go from there. So thank you so much, Stacy, for taking the time to give us a little glimpse of your obsession with helping businesses. And we will see everyone next Monday.
Yes, see y'all next Monday. And if any questions come in between now and Monday, please feel free, email them to me, and I'll make sure that I can address them in the beginning of next week's presentation. If anything comes up from, y'all playing around in Business Manager, we can do that.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you all so much. I appreciate it. All right, I'll see y'all next week.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye. Roz, are you still here? Okay, sorry. Let me stop recording.